how's life been since Top Chef?
I mean, it's been amazing. The support that I've been able to get from the show, and I mean, it's especially this time around. The first season, kind of the bad boy, and then this time around, you go see some professional help, and he tells you, gets you on the straight and narrow. So this time around, it's been really, a very positive support.
Is your prep quicker now after so many quick fire challenges?
Oh, absolutely. Really, what that show does is you can do anything. I mean, really, it gives you the ability to look at any challenge and just kind of go with it.
So you mentioned that you grew up watching your mom cook. Can you take us to that place?
I mean, I think as any, I'm Asian American, and I think, as the theme for me in my life has always been that, Dale, you are an Asian American. You're a Filipino. You grow up in a Filipino household, but you're in America. And I grew up in Chicago, suburbs of Chicago, and it was weird. Like you go to school and you see every other kid. They get $20 to eat dinner for the whole night because their mom doesn't know how to cook, and they're sending them out to the hot dog stand. And it's like, no, you're coming home, you're watering my plants, you're picking my eggplant, you're getting the tomatoes, and then we're having fish head sinigang at the house. And I was like, well, my friends are having gyros and cheese fries and hamburgers. I'm like, no, but you're gonna eat this or you're not eating. So I was like, oh, okay.
And then you had to wash the dishes.
Exactly. And then you did the dishes and took out the garbage, and then you started doing homework. So that's how I grew up. And at the restaurant, that's what the theme of the restaurant is. It's Asian American and bringing my life, professionally and personally, and putting it on a plate.
And that's in Brooklyn, starting
Brooklyn,
next month,
yep.
right?
Brooklyn. Hopefully, we're open November 1. We're pushing hard to get open by then. But we struggled with what to call the restaurant. What is your food? And I said, you know what? I am an Asian American, and I'm proud. I'm proud to be an Asian American. So why not call our food this?
What do your parents think about your success and everything else that's come along? It's kind of a trip for them, right?
Yeah, at first it was very, I first started cooking. My dad's, he's a Boilermaker, and he's a laborer. And my mom's, of course, an RN. She's a nurse. So, watching my mom cook and being part of that with her, she understood it. She's like, you like to cook, I know you like to cook, we do it together. But my dad had this idea of his son being a blue-collared, or a white-collared, worker, and someone who didn't have to work so hard. And it kind of took some winning over for him. But I think as soon as he started seeing the passion in what I do, it took over. And then, what the show really did was help them see what the process is. Yeah. You see the creative process. It's not just putting food on a plate. It's really, you have to do some thought into what we really do.
And don't you think parents have they bring you back down to earth so fast,
yeah.
don't they? Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
because I remember I was on TV, my dad would just say, hey, did you know what the president did today? Or my mom would say, your hair looked terrible today. Did your mom watch you and say,
Of course. My parents, all they wanted to make sure is they wanted to know if I had insurance and that I had vacation and that no one was taking advantage of me and I was getting paid okay. That's it. They didn't care that I liked my job. They didn't care that. They just wanted to make sure that those 4 things were totally taken care of. And as long as that happened, they were fine with it. They're like, you have insurance, right? Yeah? You do? Okay.
So do whatever you want as long as that's all settled.
Yeah, as long as those 4 things are taken care of, you're getting paid, and you have insurance, you're fine.
Okay. All right, so let's cook. How about that?
Yeah, let's do some cooking.
All right, so what are we making? You have your own mic now, so what are we making?
So we're making kari-kari, and I think, the inspiration for this dish was, for the Filipinos out there, kari-kari is kind of, or kari-kari is, I had to say it in the dialect, kari-kari. It's essentially stewed oxtails, and it's a peasant, it's a peasant dish. But for me, I think that you give me I'll take oxtails over filet mignon any day, because for me it's easy to take a very expensive ingredient, put salt and pepper on it, put it in a pan, and then serve it. And it takes true skill to see people that take, the cuts that aren't so desirable, the lesser cuts, and turn them into a real work of art. And this is, when I started eating as a kid, we would get this for Christmas, and this is funny, like, it really wasn't my mom's dish, it was my aunt's dish. And when we would go to Christmas. It was a potluck. And of course, my mom comes from 11 brothers and sisters. So potluck was you bring one of everything. And my mom brought the ham, my aunt brought the pancit, my other aunt brought the pancit molo, and my one aunt this was her dish. She made the kari kari. So every time I eat this dish, it really kind of reminds me of my family. And that's why I wanted to do it for you guys today, because it's
Comfort food.
It's comfort food.
Comfort food. We all know that.
It's family food.
What do we do first? Can we do this at home too, or no?
Oh, absolutely.
Or is this only Dale can do this?
No. This is definitely a dish that I feel like, it's one of those lazy Sunday afternoon dishes, because it does take a while, but it's easy enough where, it's easy, but it just takes 2 or 3 hours for you to cook.
Just
to cook
2 or
something.
3 hours.
Yeah.
So what's this going in?
This is annatto seed oil, or a chuete oil. It's annatto seed that's been steeped in oil. You bring it up in a little bit in temperature, and then you let it sit, and you strain it. And it gives it this really nice kind of golden hue to the food. And I think a lot of the Filipino food, I think traditional Filipino food, was cooked in this oil to give it this very brilliant red kind of golden hue. I think we get a lot of that from the Spaniards and their use of saffron. When we had this traditionally, and this was a cheaper way to kind of give that same effect.
And you have the heat on medium?
The heat's on high.
High. Okay.
And we're gonna take.
Okay.
We take a little bit of our. Short ribs. These are boned out, so boneless short ribs. In the annatto seed oil, we're gonna just brown this. We're gonna brown it a little bit inside that.
And so there's a trend for short ribs in restaurants these days. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think, especially now, there's this trend of just comforting food. Economic times aren't very great right now, and I think we all kind of see that. And definitely the fine dining scene, especially in New York that I see it, fine dining is dead. I love fine dining, but to me it's, I'd rather go someplace that makes me feel very comforting and relaxed and have just kind of I want to feel comfortable when I go out to eat.
Feels good when you eat. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so you're browning.
Yeah, we're gonna brown.
And then you sprinkled some.
Just some salt and pepper on top of the short ribs. And into the pot, we're gonna go a little bit of onion.
That's a lot of onion.
It's gonna melt down a little bit, and I think it's a little controversial. Some people are gonna say, some of the traditional Filipinos are gonna say, I don't put onion in mine. I was like,
and then you added some garlic, right?
A little bit of onion, a little bit of garlic. Controversial. I get it. It's very new school, and this is the one reason why I never did cook Filipino food is because of the letdown. I never made it as good as my mom did, so I never, and honest to God, I would make dishes that my mom would make, and it just never tasted the same. And I was like, why? Like, I just spent an hour prepping this dish, making this dish, and it just does not taste the same. So, I think in my mind, I just started gearing myself to cook different styles of food, and that's why I'm doing, like my restaurant is Asian American, and it's encompassing a lot of, it's encompassing Southeast Asia, Thailand, Vietnamese, Korea, Japan, a lot of the things that I've done, a lot of the food that I've done professionally.
So more oil in the little bit of onions and garlic.
Yeah.
Right. Taking the oxtail out, it's been browned. Does your mom critique your food?
Oh, all day. All day. And every aunt and every relative, they have something to say.
What do they say?
They have something to say.
What do they say?
And especially you get on a show where they all start to watch a show, and they just start ribbing you. That's not tough. What would Padma say about that? What would Tom say about that? And you're just like, Ma, really? I'm home for Christmas 2 days a year, and you're gonna give it, But it's because they love you.
That's right. It's
because
family.
they love you.
It's family.
It's because
Do we
they
all
love
know
you.
what that's like, right? Okay, so we're browning the onions now. The garlic looks nicely singed, and this big old pitcher of something is going
Well,
in.
first we're gonna take a little bit of the, I think this, in a lot of our Asian culture, the shrimp paste, which is gonna,
Quite a woo for shrimp paste.
It is, yeah. Well, it's gonna get the room a little funky. So we get that inside. We get that in the pot a little bit. I know this is not traditional. I know it's always on the side. We saute the shrimp paste up a little bit, And here, instead of just water, I'm using beef stock.
Did you say beef stock?
Yeah, beef stock, beef broth.
Okay.
I let this come up to a boil. Then we add the short ribs back into the pot.
But this is beautiful. So you put the oxtail back in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh yeah, I can smell
Right,
the
there's
shrimp
that shrimp
paste.
paste. Boom, right
Woo,
there.
it's there.
Right there.
All right, here we
So
go.
that's why my mom used to do this outside. But now I take this dish, cover it.
Wait, let's
Oh.
uncover it for 2 seconds now that we have
Sorry,
the camera
sorry,
here. Is
fine, I
that
got the
okay?
Yeah.
Nice, huh? Beautiful, thank you. Now what?
Cover it, and this would either bring it down to a simmer, a really slow simmer, and or go into a 325-degree oven for about 2 to 3 hours until it's really tender. When that comes out of the oven, and this is very tender, I think kind of one of the most important parts of curry is that the peanut butter, and so what it essentially is and through my trips, I just went to Malaysia about 3 months ago, and when I was there, I saw the word K-A-R-I, kari, which in Malaysia was curry, and I was like, well, that's curry. I knew that as this dish, and in their curry, you would see a little ground up peanut to thicken up the broths. And in my mind, I was like, wow, especially that part of Southeast Asia, you see such a connection through all these little islands, Malaysia, the Philippines, Indonesia, and you start to see all the connections. It connects all the dots. And it was great that I was there, and I feel like, you really take something away. You understand where you're from, and I think food does that to you.
Yeah,
Really?
I'm looking at this. It's doing it to me, for sure.